Hello fellow Peanuts fans, I'm Karen from CollectPeanuts.com, and as you already might know, I like to make my own t-shirts. I like to revive old designs, maybe make something new, something that's never been created, such as this Dolly Madison iron-on transfer reproduction with a little twist from Charlie Brown's Fruit Pies. So today I'm going to recreate a classic Snoopy t-shirt that was never made for humans, just Snoopy. And that shirt is Rap Beagle. Now, if you're not familiar with this plush, I believe it came out in the early 90s. One, because of the subject matter, two, because of the color and the pattern. Just a very early 90s look for Snoopy here. And you can see the tag. Beautiful. What does it say? I'm a rapping beagle from out of town who hangs with a boy named Charlie Brown. I'm a real cool dog, and you know that's true. Take me home and I'll play with you. So today I'm going to show you how I reproduced this shirt as a full-size shirt for myself. But before we get started, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you can help us out just a little bit more, come join us on Patreon. There is a link in the description down below. I've been contemplating two different ways of making this shirt. I can either start with a base of hot pink or a base of white. Obviously, this shirt is mostly pink, but there are a lot of different colors on it. I would be using some paint and some heat transfer vinyl. If you're not familiar with heat transfer vinyl, it comes in sheets like this. And when it gets ironed down, it looks like this. As you can see, it sits on the top and it makes it a little bit crunchy. Recreating this shirt with heat transfer vinyl, that is going to be a lot of different layers, which can add to the crunchiness, as it were. So that is one reason I kind of want to do paint for some of it. Here are some paints that I put on the pink shirt. The blue looks great. This is yellow, some greens, and some white. And only the blue really looks that good. And it also does make it crunchy. Like, this is regular fabric. This is painted fabric. And to make sure that this does not wash out, I would be using Heat Set Fabric Painting Medium. And I was looking to use these Arteza acrylic paints. Now, doing the shirt as heat transfer vinyl on the pink shirt would be easiest, but for some odd reason, I'm going to go with the white shirt after a lot of thought and consideration. I just kind of want this painterly quality to it. Hopefully it turns out looking good. I will still be using some heat transfer vinyl. Basically, the background here is going to be paint, whereas Snoopy and Rap Beagle is going to be heat transfer vinyl. And to get these complex shapes in just the right spots and with those nice crisp lines, I'm going to be using freezer paper. This will be ironed down onto the shirt, and then it acts like a stencil. It's time to get started on making this shirt. The first thing I like to do is print out the design and make sure I like the size of the design I'm planning on. Since this is such a big design, I have multiple sheets of paper that I have to tape together. And I'm also going to be using this later as a template for where I'm putting all of the different elements. Since I like that size, I got started with cutting out the freezer paper stencil on my Silhouette Cameo 4. This is an electronic die cutting machine. So first I'm just taping all of the pieces together, so when I pull this off the sticky cutting mat, then all the pieces will stay in place. But as you can see, I was using transparent Scotch tape, and that was a bad idea, as we'll see in a moment. But first I'm going to get this lined up on the shirt and just press it down to keep it in place while I pull out the template. And then proceed to get plastic tape on my iron. Thankfully it's a cheap iron, but now I have to get tape off of it. A wooden ruler seemed to work. This time I'm starting again with blue painter's tape, as it will stick out and pull off the back of the freezer paper easily enough. And as you can see, the blue painter's tape is easy to see and it comes off all right. So now I can get this freezer paper stuck down to the shirt and the other 4 pieces. You can sort of see the cut lines there. Next comes painting. We're going to start with yellow, and now I need to pull off the bits of the stencil for all the yellow parts. I'm just going over the edges again with the iron to make sure they're fully stuck down. And then I'll mix up my paint with the fabric medium. Look at how bright that yellow is. Glorious. Then I just paint the shirt, making sure to get a nice solid color and not lifting up the edges of the freezer paper. Let's move on to the hot pink. So one thing I contemplated with this shirt is painting the entire shirt pink so it would match the Snoopy doll shirt. However, I'm really glad I did not do that, as the paint would have made the shirt almost stand up on its own. And the green. Now, since the stencil is removed from the pink area already, I just have to make sure I don't get green all over the pink. Now let's peel off the center for the blue. And be careful with those yellow edges. Now's the time to pull off all of the extra freezer paper for the areas that needed to stay white. As you can see, it mostly stayed fairly crisp, but there is a little bit of bleed, which isn't too bad compared to how it probably would have turned out if I had done it 100% freehand. Now that the painting is all done, it's time to do the heat transfer vinyl, and I have to get this lined up in just the right spot. The black background is in 3 parts, so I need to make sure it fully lines it up across the entire shirt. And once it's lined up, I can heat press it down and peel to reveal. So far, so good. Let's get Snoopy on here. Next, I put on all of the details, starting with the white for Snoopy's head, hands, and shoes. And here is the final with all of the basic heat transfer vinyl. So far, so good. But now we get into the trickiest part of all, the hot orange puff vinyl. Now you've probably seen puff t-shirts before. It gives it that nice 3D effect. And before I start this, I am going to do a lot of testing. So I'm going to set up this old t-shirt with lots of small pieces of vinyl and make sure I get my technique just right for the final product. As you can see, I did a ton of different versions and some of them were not successful. Once I think I got it, it's time to puff. Let's hope it goes okay. And it's not. I worked so hard. and then it doesn't work. As you can see, it's going horribly. So many things just not working at all. Some of these letters I just ended up having to fully peel off and cut out new pieces. All of these little pieces of puff vinyl had to come off before I could redo it again. It was the worst part of the process. I am never doing puff vinyl again. Let's move on to the final part, the sleeves and the collar. I want them to be contrasting just like on the Snoopy doll, so I'm going to take off the sleeves and the collar and switch them out for this pink shirt. It'll look something like this in the end. Let's get the seam ripper going, and this thread is terrible to work with. After a couple hours of pulling out all those stitches, it's time to sew them on and finish this shirt. And now it's time for the final reveal. Oh, I just find it completely hilarious. I can't even say my words. I love it. It's so funky and fun. I don't know what other people are gonna think of my whims, but here they are. And I got this terrible hat for $2 at a flea market. It was the right color. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Would you wear this shirt? Straight out of the 90s? Now, one thing I will say about this shirt is it's very crunchy. You know, like it stands up on its own. Which is actually very 90s. So not a big deal, right? Here is a vintage 90s shirt and this big graphic. It's also very crunchy. And by crunchy, I mean like it's this big almost sheet of plastic. And it almost feels like it's starched, and it's also on the back. So that is a very 90s t-shirt thing to have. And then it gets all these cracks in it. Hopefully this one doesn't crack. I mean, it's a different material, it shouldn't crack. Not exactly what I was going for. Would probably rather it not be quite so stiff, but it is what it is. You gotta go with what you know and what you can actually produce on your own using craft supplies you can find. So what should I create next? Maybe wrap Woodstock? Oh, let's get them both up here together. All three of us. Oh. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I wish the puff vinyl turned out more puffy rather than textured, but it is what it is. It's still a great color, so I'm really happy with that. And the freezer paper worked pretty good for what it was. I mean, doing all this painting freehand would have been quite a chore. No doubt there would have been messes, you know, that occasional stroke with the brush and you're just like, oh no. So this helped keep everything where it should go. So that was great. And doing all of this in heat transfer vinyl would have been a difficult task. So I think painting was the right way to go with this. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe I should wrap the ending. No. Sorry. This is the extent of my wrap knowledge. Yeah. So like this video, subscribe to the channel, come join us on Patreon, and come visit my website at CollectPeanuts.com where you can see more of my collection, read articles about collecting peanuts, and maybe buy something for your own collection. Please do. please buy some stuff. That would be terrific to help make more crazy t-shirts like this. Happy collecting, everyone. Bye. Oh, with the hat. It's just hilarious with the hat.